Hey Toy fans, D21 Beast Rob here, back with another Marvel Legends review for you guys here today, and today we're looking at the Absorbing Man Wave, Spider-Gwen and Venom figures released by Hasbro in 2016. Now normally I might review these figures individually, but honestly I'm too excited to finally have these two hard-to-find figures in my collection, and I couldn't wait to review them so I could finally actually display them on my shelf. Also, since I don't care whatsoever for the villain Absorbing Man, I'm probably going to stop my collection of the Absorbing Man Wave with these two figures. But hey, that's no slight to you, Brian Patrick Wade, you're doing a great job, keep it up! Also, should the mood strike me and I actually find myself wanting an Absorbing Man figure, I've still got the 2003 David Banner figure, mostly mint on card. I know, you guys are so jealous. Now both of these figures are red-hot characters from the Spider-Man corner of the Marvel Universe. On the left, as I said, we do have the Spider-Gwen figure. She first appeared in 2014's Edge of Spider-Verse #2, created by Jason Latour and Robbie Rodriguez. And naturally, she was a major player in the epic Spider-Verse storyline that was a favorite of mine from that year. Venom, on the other hand, is definitely a character any pop culture nut worth their salt should know about. His existence was a byproduct of the costume Spider-Man made for himself in Secret Wars #8 from 1984. With the help of Reed Richards, Spidey would eventually dump that black costume. But as fate would have it, Venom would return in Amazing Spider-Man 299 and 300 in 1988, and begin to terrorize Spider-Man as one of his most implacable and certainly most famous foes. And here's a fun fact for you, it wasn't actually Marvel, rather a fan contest where Randy Schueller designed the original black suit costume before David Michelinie, Mike Zeck, and Todd McFarlane would turn that award-winning costume into the iconic Spider-Man villain that we know today. And with all that fun trivia out of the way, you can see we do have that same sort of packaging that we saw with the Marvel Legends Morbius figure that I've already reviewed. It has the Legends series logo at the top and the Absorbing Man logo in the upper left. A window box packaging that does house these figures inside, as well as their accessories and Build-A-Figure pieces. And finally at the bottom we do have the Marvel Spider-Man logo. In Spider-Gwen's case, it does say Edge of the Spider-Verse. She shares packaging with Spider-Carnage from this same wave. Venom, on the other hand, gets a bit more respect with his name actually placed at the bottom of the packaging. Flipping the packages around, we do have the Marvel Legends series logo in the upper left. On the packaging for Spider-Gwen, we've got the bio in the upper right, followed by an image of Spider-Gwen and the Ben Reilly Spider-Man figure who changes into Spider-Carnage. Below that, we've got the Build-A-Figure Absorbing Man logo, and then a complete lineup of all the figures available in this wave, as well as what their Build-A-Figure pieces combined to create. We've got Absorbing Man off to the left. Venom has a very similar packaging with his bio in the upper right, and then a beautifully rendered shot of the Venom action figure there in the center. Alright, webheads, that's the packaging. Let's say we get these figures out of the box and see what they're all about. And here we have Spider-Gwen and Venom out of the packaging, toy fans, and both of these figures are utilizing body molds that we are extremely familiar with. Spider-Girl's reusing that teenage female body mold that frustratingly keeps getting used for all the Spider-Verse characters, despite the fact that their limited articulation doesn't really suit a super agile spider character that well. Venom, on the other hand, is actually reusing the Hyperion body mold. I don't have that Marvel Legend, but I do feel like that mold was used quite well on Radioactive Man, Tiger Shark, and Sentry, not so much on Anti-Venom. Also, if you want to get really nitpicky, the Marvel Legends Stripe figure that was exclusive to Toys R Us also uses the same body mold, but he's got some additional sculpting on the arms and upper legs of his body. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that Spider-Gwen figure up close. Reused body mold aside, I really appreciate what Hasbro has done to make this Spider-Gwen figure look different from all the other females using this same mold. The head sculpt looks really nice. It's got an actual shape for a nose, which is great. I think that's actually better than we got with the Mayday Parker Spider-Girl figure. There are sculpted eyes here, and the paint works very clean. I like the sort of overspray or airbrush effect around the eyes that kind of looks just like it does in the comics. Inside the hood has actually been painted very nicely, and those lines are actually sculpted, shockingly enough. And this is a soft, sort of pliable material. Now, coming down the body, we have the comic book costume, and you'll see there's lots of great attention to line detail on the figure. There's a little bit of paint slop around the figure, but not too bad, and I love that they've got the actual line work and webbing pattern inside the arm for this figure. Coming down the rest of the figure, we have just the black legs and then the teal on the tips of the toes. Coming up the back of the figure, we also have some excellent line work for the spider design on the back of the figure. But the coolest thing about this figure is that it does have an interchangeable head. Now you can actually grab both the hood and the head and pull it off, and Spider-Gwen comes with an interchangeable head that actually looks like a pretty good version of Gwen Stacy. And maybe it's just me, but I feel like I even see a little hint of Emma Stone in that head sculpt as well. But then there's an excellent sort of sculpted hair here. There's no actual paint detail on the hair, but it's sculpted nicely. It definitely looks like hair, and I like the sort of muted blonde color that they've used, just like we saw with the Mockingbird Marvel Legends figure. It's not a yellow or something that looks super toy-like. I just like the color that they've chosen to go with. The paint applications have been applied very nicely, very cleanly. And then we also have this hood piece that you can put around the shoulder of the figure. Sculpted detail again for the webbing on the hood. You can actually stick it on the figure and then put the Gwen Stacy head on top of the body. And you have an unmasked Spider-Gwen figure. So really a great action figure. This is probably my favorite use of this body mold so far, and I love the interchangeable accessories that we received with this figure. Venom is actually a really amazing figure in his own right. I love the head sculpt on this guy. The eyes have been sculpted pretty nicely and they've been painted very cleanly with the exception of a little bit of black scuffage on this side. He's got an amazing set of teeth that have been sculpted in and painted very cleanly. And honestly, if Hasbro had just left us with this head sculpt, I would have been super happy because this is my version of Venom. This is what I think of, that first appearance look for the character, and Hasbro knocked it out of the park. But they also did us one better. For all those people complaining he didn't have a tongue, Hasbro actually gave us an alternate Venom head that actually features a tongue, and this head looks really cool. The teeth again have been sculpted nicely, the eyes have been painted better on this head than on the actual standard Venom head that I already showed you, and then the brow for this figure is sculpted very intricately. It really reminds me of Joe Quesada artwork. But then they also have some sort of green slime or green slobber on the tongue, very 90s Venom, so a nice touch there. And changing these heads out isn't too difficult at all. You can just pull the head off your other Venom figure, it just pops off pretty easily, and there's a nice ball joint. You can just go ahead and plug the other head right on. Now the first time you do this, it is going to be rather tough, but I actually left this head on my Venom figure overnight, and now it seems to be much easier, so I guess you've just got to kind of break it in. Coming down the figure though, there's not a lot of paint detail, but then that's pretty accurate for Venom. We've got the white spider on the front, which is mostly clean, I'm pretty happy, and on the back of the figure as well. Unfortunately, we do have those eyesores for the cape holes that we had for the Hyperion figure in Sentry. Coming down the figure, we have some white paint on the back of the hands with the trademark black dot for the webbing. No other paint detail on the rest of the figure. Of course, that is comic accurate, especially for this era of Venom. I don't know that we needed any sort of blue overspray or detail because when he first appeared, he was essentially just a black silhouette with a white spider. But I think the stark contrast between the black and white coloring really helps to sell the look of this character. Venom also has a set of interchangeable hands. You can remove this hand that has sort of the sharp fingernails on it and actually put on a fisted Venom hand. Has that same detail on the back of it with the white patch with the black dot. Now, I don't normally think of Venom as a character with fists clenched, but I suppose if you wanted to set up a display with Venom punching at Spider-Man, these fists would certainly do the job. Articulation-wise, Spider-Gwen's got a head that'll bend down that far and back that far and rotates all the way around. Full rotation at the shoulder, as well as a hinge to bend out from the body that far. Single jointed elbow that bends down that far, back that far, rotates all the way around. Full rotation at the wrist, as well as a hand that'll bend back that far and down that far. There is a torso articulated joint here, a diaphragm joint that'll not really bend forward that far, bend back a little bit better, and full rotation at the actual diaphragm. No waist joint, hip joints that'll bend forward that far, back only about that far, out from the body about that far, upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee, and a foot that'll bend forward that far, back that far, and has that Hasbro ankle pivot. There's also a boot rotation on this figure. So again, great for any sort of standard non-agile character, but with a Spider-Verse character, you're going to have trouble getting this figure in the positions you really want to be able to get her in. Venom comes a bit more fully loaded. He's got a ball-jointed head that'll bend back that far, down that far, rotate all the way around. Full rotation at the shoulder, as well as a hinge to bend out that far. Upper bicep swivel, double-jointed elbow. A wrist joint that spins all the way around and bends back that far and down that far. He's got an ab crunch that'll bend forward pretty far, back really far, very far, and I like that the paint's been continued on both sides of the figure when you do that. Full rotation at the waist, hip joints that'll bend forward that far, back that far, out from the body, that far, full rotation at the upper thigh, double jointed knee, there is a boot rotation, and then a foot that'll bend forward, not so far, back pretty far, and he's got the Hasbro ankle pivot. So even though he's a very beefy figure, he's got tons of articulation, and you're probably going to be able to get this Venom in any position you really want to. Height-wise, we can see that the Spider-Gwen figure does stand just a little bit under 6 inches tall, while the Venom figure stands closer to 6 3/4 inches. Here they are compared to the Morbius figure from the same wave, and compared to the Hobgoblin Wave Pizza Spidey figure, and a Venom from 2002, the Toy Biz era Spider-Man Classics Venom. And finally, here they are compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine.
So, you guys ever meet Carnage? That vile wretch is our son.
In the Ultimate Universe, I am Carnage.
Weird. How about the Green Goblin?
Not exactly.
But he did employ our next host, Mac Gargan. Uh-huh. And you?
Well, I think I'm supposed to be the mother of his twin children, but I'm not sure that story's canon anymore.
And I thought I had a dark past.
Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Marvel Legends Spider-Gwen and Venom figures, part of the Absorbing Man wave of Legends released by Hasbro in 2016. Overall, I am a huge fan of both of these figures. Each one has a set of interchangeable heads, which is truly fantastic. Venom's got the interchangeable hands that are kind of a miss for me. And it would have been nice if Spider-Girl came with at least one interchangeable hand so she wasn't always thwipping. But for me at least, these are some of the best Legends to come out so far this year. Definitely pick them up. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Which figure has you more excited, Spider-Gwen or Venom? For me, it's a bit close, but I think I'm liking the Venom figure a bit more. And speaking of likes, go ahead and give one to this video. It lets me know that you like what I do and it really makes my day. And in the meantime, feel free to keep up with me on Twitter and Instagram at D21Beast, and I'll see you guys next time.